So we brought out the mid-2012 MacBook Pro this morning and thought, what the heck? Let's see if the Logitech can beat it. Now the Logitech camera we're using, of course, is the C910, which boasts to have, according to Logitech, a main sensor of 2 megapixels and a true sensor of 5 megapixels and a capability of taking still shots at 14 megapixels. Okay, now I'm confused as much as you are. Anyways, when it comes to the Max 720p camera, okay, because the Logitech is 1080, the 720p camera, we have an unknown origin of what universe or dimension or planet they happen to have gotten their sensor for and what the megapixel rating is for the Apple one. There's no information on Apple's website, everymac.com, the forums. Nobody knows an answer to this deep, dark question. So all we know is, well, honestly, guys, it really makes the Logitech look bad. Now, even though the Logitech does take on more light easier, okay, it's also still grainy as heck. And our second shot at redemption of the Logitech by getting its angle of the camera closer to what the Mac was sitting at has shown not only massive amounts of overexposure. I mean, part of my stock on my gun disappeared, the one that's between the Les Paul and the Flying V. But yeah, the streaks of light that come off those super bright LEDs that are behind me, which are basically only lighting up the back wall. I don't get a whole lot of that lighting here unless I change the angles, but then of course we're going to definitely be blind. So I have ordered in some studio lighting for the studio to kind of balance out the lighting in here better. But the angles of the streaks in the Logitech have gone not only opposite direction, but on a very severe arc to that opposite direction to what the 720p camera on the Mac picked up. Mac cameras pick up a lot of stuff. Now, I will also make a slight correction to my video, and that's that the Logitech does have a wider angle base to it, but its depth perception, everything is too much up close. Okay, where the Mac, I'm still up close in my frontal view, but my back view is deeper behind me, so we actually get to see more of what's behind me in depth, but the width is not quite as wide as the Logitech seems to be. So it's kind of a little bit of a difference, but we do get a very balanced picture, front and back, in the Mac, and the clarity is very, very clear. Okay, where the Logitech is definitely still grained right out. But, and of course, over sharpening with that grain too in the Logitech. Now, I will say this, the built-in mics on the MacBook Pro and the built-in mics on the Logitech are very good. Now, I'm doing this as a screenshot recording, so the sound comes from my MacBook Pro's built-in speakers, and that sound is, of course, amplified for me to hear, and you get it picked up from the microphones in the MacBook Pro. So don't worry too much if the quality of the sound is slightly degraded. It's kind of the way screenshots seem to work for screen recordings with at least this setup. But anyways, let's play the clips and let's see what all happens in the clips. So we'll start with the MacBook Pro 720p camera. Now, of course, the main videos were recorded all with QuickTime too. And I want to make that note to you. Logitech software support for this camera for the Mac side stopped at OS 10.6. Now, they do say it should run on later versions, but not OS 11, which is Big Sur, and definitely not Monterey 12. So again, we have obsolescence here on this camera, and we're probably going to find the same thing on the 920S Pro HD one. I didn't bother looking that one up again because we took that piece of junk back. But this is the 910 that my dad gave me. I didn't want a chance putting in the Logitech software only because they say they stopped at 10.6. And I'm running Catalina, which is a much newer OS. It's actually the final version OS for the 2012 MacBook Pro. So yeah, we didn't want to mess up our operating system because that could possibly happen. But so we did record all 3 videos in QuickTime, which also makes it fair too. We get to see what the Mac is like in its native software, but we're also seeing what the Logitech is like using the Mac software, which is going to be in a lot of ways more superior to Logitech software. All Logitech software does is give us a few extra features that could help clean up the picture, but we did notice in the 920 that no matter what we did, we still got a very grainy picture. We got a very blurred out background. Didn't matter what we did. Okay, so we weren't able to help it. In fact, just looking at these images now at my music book on my one keyboard, I can actually see the text on the book, whereas in the Logitech camera, both setups, the text is completely blinded out. So we do have a lot of overexposure happening with the Logitech regardless, but also super grainy, which with more light, you should be able to clean up a picture, not make it worse. So, and I know for a fact that when we lower the lighting, we're going to make any camera worse. So, anyways, let's play these clips. So, and you've got your ahead of time correction on what I'm saying in these clips too.
Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. Just a very short video. I know, no more webcams for me. Well, hey, Mac webcams are still really cool. Anyways, this is an experiment though. This is the webcam, which is 720p only, on my mid-2012 MacBook Pro. And what we're going to do is compare it against the Logitech C910, which boasts to be 1080p. And of course, we already know it's like 2.225 or 2.255 megapixel. Not sure the actual megapixel on this one without looking it up.
Which
However, it is only 720p on the internal Mac.
Now, regardless of sensors, okay, at least in my experience, okay, you should see a better overall quality of a picture at the higher capable resolution. So 720p should not be showing as well as 1080p. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said there. 1080p should be better quality, right? Because it's HD after all, you know? Anyways, so let's go to the second clip.
Okay guys, so this is the Logitech C910, and natively it pops up at 1080p. So yeah, and we're using QuickTime to record both of these cameras to see how they fare against each other. Now, of course, we are going to get a much larger picture regardless on the Logitech because, yeah, 1080p. Yeah, great, fantastic, woohoo! Now, when it comes to the picture, though, what I'm seeing in this one is that everything is like super grainy. I've got quite a bit of light behind me, which should help the cameras, but apparently just not enough. You know, let's,
Okay, let's go to the hopeful redemption of the Logitech. And, of course, you can already see so much overexposure. Yes, it's brighter. We still have a lot of grain there. We still have a lot of blurring of the background. Yeah, this is just horrible.
Okay, guys, this is clip 3 with the Logitech, and what I've done is I've readjusted the angle to be as identical as possible to my Mac's laptop, okay? And as you can tell, even no matter which way we go here, the Logitech really brings stuff up way too close, where the Mac allows it to go back more. So it's got a better, I guess, wider and deeper angle on the MacBook, so you get more of what's around your environment.
The Mac is definitely a deeper, but it's almost as wide as the Logitech realistically, but it's a hard thing to really judge, but very close. But regardless of all this, guys, we have barely any grain at all in the 720 with its setup. With Logitech, of course, we have a lot of grain and very, very poor backgrounding, of course, because of all the blur out and everything else. Then we try and we change the angle of the Logitech so that we can get more light to it, which should clean up the picture more because cameras are sensitive to light. The more light that you give them, as long as you're not blinding them, the better they should be. But in this case, to try and even get it close, now we're still off. Like if you look at the top of the headstock of the Les Paul in the third frame here, so the bottom left, to the distance up, what we're seeing is compared to the 720, which is about 2.5 times taller picture, so we actually see more of the door, actually virtually all of the door except for a little sliver of it, of the door framing. The Logitech is definitely getting way overexposed. The streaks that are coming down from my LED lights on the top left frame on the Mac, they're actually quite nicely, we'll say, contoured shaping of the streaks, and they're not overpowering anything either, right? So we do see a very small touch of overexposure, maybe where the actual streak is hitting the backboard of the black. But when you look at the Logitech at the same type of angle or similar angle, we have massive overexposure up top. Things are getting like disappeared, like they're being erased from time. And those streakings are going off to the opposite direction completely and on a very severe arc. So yeah, that's kind of a really funked image, like really bad. Anyways, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I mean, obviously, I mean the consensus, I guess you would call it, or the vote should actually go toward Apple all the way because it definitely does have the more superior quality picture. The sound reproduction on both the built-in webcam on my Mac and the external, of course, Logitech C910, the mics on those cameras are really good. Okay, just trust me on that. They are both very good. But when it comes to the picture, I am sorry to say, but the Logitech is definitely not there. Okay, the Mac at 720p is eating it for breakfast and spitting it out sideways. Now, once I get my studio lighting in here and get things set up, I think we might just revisit this with new lighting. So basically, we'll call it some sort of a title in the video with the word studio lighting added in, and seeing if we've been able to even help out the Logic Pro anymore. But I will say this for the record and for a fact, you should not have to add massive amounts of extra lighting to improve in this case, a 1080p camera. That's obviously not a cheap camera new. I don't know what my father paid for it, but I'm sure it was well over $100 when he bought it. I paid $100 for a Logitech C920 HD Pro that is supposed to be new technology, but already obsoleted by Logitech. Now, I did do some extra homework, and Logitech actually does make a 4K, I believe it's 20 megapixel if I remember correctly, webcam. Now, you can get it on Amazon for about $269 or $220 depending on the seller, but none of the local stores like Best Buy, they don't carry it in stock. I actually don't even recall if I saw it on their website. I'll have to take a look. The Source definitely doesn't carry it in stock. Walmart won't carry it in stock. Staples doesn't carry it in stock. So it's something that you actually have to basically special order, I guess. And it's like nobody wants to carry something that customers can grab off the shelf. I mean, I'm looking for 4K webcam. What do you got? Oh, I can order that in. It might take a week or two to get here, or blah blah blah. It's like, no, this stuff should be readily available. But either way, Logitech should be dissing their entire lineup of webcams that are garbage. I mean, this is just proving that Logitech cannot make very good cameras. I'm a little nervous. I mean, which is why I'm not interested in actually going out and spending any amount of money on that 4K camera to see if it's any good. I mean, I've already had my experience with the Zoom Q2N 4K video recorder for musicians, and the 4K camera is horrible, and it uses a 3 megapixel Logitech sensor, which is the exact same sensor, by the way, in the Zoom Q8, which is a camcorder version, but they took it from 4K down to 2K. And it's still got a very poor picture. Now, if you look at the reviews on YouTube, the corporate sellouts, as I like to call them for YouTube channels, are making these two particular Zoom units to be like king of, whatever island, right? And yet, comments below reflect differently for the most part, other than people who have no idea what quality is. But those who do, of course, know, like I do, and yeah, those cameras are horrifyingly overexpensive. You're paying for fantastic audio, but you're not getting the video quality that they're promising. Okay, and I don't know of any camera that can actually pull off 4K with a 3 megapixel three megapixel sensor and actually look good. Okay, and that's where I got confused too with Logitech saying that for picture taking with even this particular webcam, the C910, that it can do 14 megapixel on still shots, and that it has a 5 megapixel true sensor, yet the actual sensor is only 2 megapixel, yet their software will come up with 2.255 or 2.225 megapixel for the sensor. That got me really confused too, and I'm like, okay, whatever, Logitech, do your thing. But anyways, I don't know. If anything, I think what I might do is email Logitech and ask them, hey, would you be willing to send me this 4K thing, because this is the hassle I'm going through, this is what I'd like to see it can be resolved, and the way I look at it, it's kind of worth it to both, myself and to the company, like, hey, is your camera any good? Like, are consumers going to be happy with this camera, right? Now, I mean, if it turns out to be a really fantastic camera, I would definitely recommend it. If it turns out to be horrible, well, it ain't going to get recommended. But I'm not going to waste my money ordering in something on a whim chance that it might be good, considering all the cameras I've gone through recently, even from Microsoft. Microsoft, you would thought, okay, they should be making a decent camera, right? Well, apparently their cameras are far worse than Logitech, so ouch. That kind of hurt. So, anyways, I don't know. I'm not sure if Logitech would actually send me one or not, but I'm going to give it a shot because I'm kind of curious. It's not that I want to get back into webcams. I'm kind of done with them either way, but I mean, if there's a way to convince me to try and get back into using a webcam, maybe they can assist in that area of convincing me that they've actually improved their technology. I have no idea. But at 20 megapixels is what it boasts. I'm really curious because we know 4K at 3 megapixels sucks really bad. Okay, now I do have a 16 megapixel camera here that takes some amazing still shots. But for the video quality, it's 1080p 60 frames per second. In the outdoor environment, it takes really good video, but the sound quality sucks. So it's kind of like one of those cameras. And I've had this camera for, I don't know, a few years now anyways, about 5 or 6 years, I guess. And but I would not use this camera indoors with any amount of lighting because it doesn't do very well indoors for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, that's what it is, So Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm out of here, though. So enjoy your day, and hey, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.